All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for watching. This is Rachelle with Rosie, one of my clients who went through the business clarifying session. And today we're just going to be talking about what happened for Rosie in the process. What's her experience with working with me, and just making sure that you know what to expect. And just to give like a little of a cliffhanger, what I feel like what happened, but we'll talk about this, is that you felt lost in your entrepreneurial journey and started seeing the light really on how to claim the authority and how to really gain the momentum with that one business concept that you really, really want to put out there. So I'm curious about what you got to tell, and I just want to give you the floor and give you a little introduction. So welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. So as Rachelle said, my name is Rosie, and I'm a travel journalist, and I've been location independent for around 6 years, living in Latin America, and just enjoying the perks of that job. But why I came to Rachelle and what I've really benefited from Rachelle is just pushing me out of stagnation. I was just sort of in a very funky part. I was in an unfortunate groove. I lacked clarity. I knew that I wasn't happy where I was, but I wasn't quite sure how to get out of it. So I fortunately met Rachelle in person in Mexico, where we were both living at the time. And she was hosting a very, very powerful productivity session for female business owners. And a friend invited me along, and I'm so happy that I came. Therefore, that's why I decided to reach out to her afterwards, or you. You're right.
Yeah.
That's why I decided to reach out to Rachelle afterwards, because I saw that. I saw that transformation, and one of the great things about seeing Rachelle in person and knowing what she was like as a coach is that, she tells you how it is, but there's a human, there's a person there. It wasn't this completely authoritarian stance, which I don't necessarily, doesn't necessarily work for me in business and in life. There's a person, there's a person there. She's very warm, very open. I felt like I could talk to her, and I actually felt like I could talk to her and not be judged for the things that I was saying. I very instantly felt like I could be very honest with her, about my drivers, even though maybe I judged myself for certain things that appeal to me. She was like, okay, great, let's work on that. Okay, that's reality for you. Sure. How do we basically take advantage of this? Awesome. I felt very warm. I felt very welcome. And you just got the impression that she knows what she's talking about. So when I got to a point in my career after a little bit of a setback where I was just, I guess, not rock bottom, but in a very, very murky waters. And I therefore knew that you were the best person to talk to. I met you. I saw actually like the transformation that I felt that way in terms of like when I got back home, I was like, this is what I need to do. This is what I want to do. I felt like a fire, like an energy. Right. And of course, the meetup was called Reignite the Fire.
Exactly. So it was yeah. And I'm just curious, so everybody listening, like, can you tell a bit about the situation you are in? Because you said like traveling, freelancer, writing mostly. What is it that you are or were struggling with in that business situation? And where did you want to go to?
Well, right when I met you, or shortly after I met Rachelle, I had lost a very, very big job, which at the time was sort of like my dream job, or the next stage of my career that I was hoping to get to. I had gotten that role and lost it, and losing that kind of made me reassess everything. And so essentially, yes, I've been traveling, as I've been a travel journalist for a while now, and relatively successful in terms of the publications I've written for and the places I've gone and the experiences I've been able to have with that. But whereas once upon a time, travel journalism fulfilled my freedom needs in terms of location, it didn't fill my freedom needs in terms of time. I wanted to have more free time. I wanted to be able to write less. I wanted to be able to work less. I wanted to be able to have a business, not necessarily be my business, but I didn't really know what to do with that or where to go next. I'm also a bit of a jack of all trades, so I do lots of different things. I can do lots of different things. I had a very lucrative side hustle during the pandemic, which was life-changing actually. I actually hosted travel trivia for corporations, Google, Facebook, the CDC, whoever, just playing travel trivia online. And that was actually very enjoyable. So I obviously knew that I enjoy working with people and I enjoy talking to people and I enjoy using my travel expertise, but not necessarily writing travel articles wasn't the best way for me to do that in order to reach my freedom goals.
Right.
So that was the problem. I wanted to have more time. I wanted to have more time to myself and also boost my income, but I didn't really know how to do that within my current setup.
Right. And what we uncovered is that you go super broad on, as you just said, like you're super energetic, you're onto everything, you're a generalist, you can do all this. And it's like you didn't choose, and that was your way of living that worked well. And as you said, the side gig, like it worked perfectly. And at some point it got dissatisfying to do the things you were doing, like everything at once, a little bit of this income, a little bit of that. And I think also what you said, like the writing itself, like your biggest income stream and also the core of what you're great at, turned out to be kind of dissatisfying at some point. Like your zone of genius was no longer like happiness as it was before, and you were kind of like where to focus on. Shall I do this any longer, or shall I flip, or what to do? And as you said, like it was a boundary of time, it was a boundary of freedom, all these caps going on, just kind of not knowing where to start to break free, I guess, almost, right, of what was happening. And so I'm curious, so we had the business clarity session. Tell me what you experienced, what we went through, what you got out, like.
So before we booked the business clarity session, I really wanted for us to get the most out of that time together. So I wrote down everything. I created a very, very, very detailed document to send over to Rachelle so that she'd actually have some insight into my situation and what I wanted to work on. I wanted our time together to be about solutions and not Rachelle like getting to know me or getting acquainted with my problem. Right. So, and actually very gracefully, she went through everything before and actually came to the session with, I wouldn't say solutions for me because she never prescribed anything. She actually just helped me get there myself. I was never told you have to do this, you should do this, this is what you need to do. It was actually just sort of like a very gentle push towards the answer that I actually already had myself, because I was actually already doing the things that Rachelle, that I just realized that is where I need to focus on, what I need to focus on now. I was actually already doing all of those things. So I came into the session prepared. Rachelle was actually very prepared. She'd done background information, background searches on me. She had scoured my LinkedIn, my blogs, my portfolio. She'd seen all my
professional stalking.
Very, 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 very professional stalking, detailed professional stalking that she had done on me before the session, which was actually wonderful because it really meant that we got the most out of the time that we had together. And yes, so I had questions, she had questions for me. And actually, you know, sort of like a therapist, they ask you questions and they don't want to tell you what they want you to get there yourself. You want to come to those conclusions yourself because the answer, as I found, was within me. And so the outcome of that was, of all these things that I was doing generally, yes, I was writing. That was my primary focus. But I also have my online courses, which are for people who want to be portable professionals or have portable careers. And I was also already hosting discovery sessions via my lifestyle blog and my lifestyle website. And I was actually already sort of mentoring people about the portable careers that I already have, the portable skills that I have. I was already doing all of those things. So really, if I could summarize, what I got from my clarity session was, of course, first of all, clarity, but it really helped me crystallize. It crystallized my zone of genius. And maybe you hear that phrase often, but it really crystallized my zone of genius. And it just put a mirror up. It just put a mirror up of like, this is what you don't like. This is what you do like. This is what you very, very, very much could do and what is viable. Why are you not doing this? it was
Right.
just, it was just brilliant.
Confronting. Yeah, yeah. No, this is also how I experienced this with you. And I think it's just cool to see that you were all over the place in a good sense, right? But it didn't work out for you any longer. And as we discussed as well, is like you had to change your identity. And it's a progress, it's a process, but it's like thinking that one thing serves you towards seeing that it served you and that you actually have to change yourself for the better in order to change your business life. And that would free up that time. That would give you the freedom you want. That would actually put you in that zone of genius as you described it. So it's funny to see how actually we went from complete scatteredness, let's say, like everything is on the floor, all the puzzle pieces, and we actually went like, how is this, how is this, how is this, why are you not doing this more? And then we put them all together and we said, hey, why aren't we here? And yeah, right, like, and it's so funny to see that it's so easy to say focus on something, focus on what you're great at, change that up. It's not done overnight, as you realize and see in the process. But it is a mindset shift of seeing what's possible by seeing that mirror of, hey, all right, so there is an alternative. There is a solution to get out of what I'm doing and actually change myself for the better. And you have to make a shift. And it was something that would caught you emotionally, even, I remember, but it is something that you saw was necessary. So making the change from doing a lot to finally to focus, and actually, as we talked about the brand, like the umbrella of all the things that fit within your zone of genius, to make sure that you are the authority, because you are, but you just got to grab it by the balls, but also just show yourself out there, right? So yeah, it was a very colorful way, let's say, of going through your business, looking at all aspects. It was like a full audit. And
it was a full health scan, a full MOT. But one thing I really, really, really want to emphasize is that for me, in general, I very much appreciate a gentler approach. I needed somebody who like I felt comfortable with, and like, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say maybe use the word loving, but there was like there's a caringness there as well. And I actually genuinely feel like you cared about my problems. I feel like, you know, it's not just like another client for you, another number for you, another, you know, paycheck for you. Like, I felt like you were actively invested in my development and transformation. And that is so crucial. And this is my first business coaching session ever. And I couldn't have asked for a better one, really.
Thank you.
I think also knowing you in person helped. I'm not sure, but I felt very comfortable with you. I mean, in the end, you know, I shared a lot of things. I got very, very personal. I'm a person who in general, I appreciate that softer approach in all of my dealings with professionally and with friends. I'm all about politeness and kindness and compassion. And you were definitely, you know, you told me, you know, you gave me very strong advice, but there was always a caringness and a humanness behind that. And that's actually most important for me.
Great to hear. Yeah, yeah. It's tough love if meant well. Like, I mean, if there's potential there, then it would be a waste to kind of like pet it and say, you know, this is fine, you're doing great, but you're wanting to change. So somebody has to push you over the edge. And I'm glad to hear that's what happened.
It was necessary for me. Especially looking back now, I really needed that, because the feeling I had, it was a feeling of disquiet, which also doesn't really help you do your best work.
No,
you don't do your best work when
you freeze,
frightened and confused. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And just curious, like, what happened after the session? Because you thought about this, like you started to like wonder and ponder upon this, brainstorm about the new phase. Like, what changed for you? What are you changing right now?
A lot, actually. I would say one of the first things, which was obvious on our call, was that I would have to start mourning a past identity or a past role that suited me very well, and something that I actually like was very attached to psychologically. So that was one of the first things that it was clear that I was going to need to do.
Yeah.
And maybe not the most comfortable thing either, but that was one of the first things I was going to need to do. I actually have this like 7-page Word document where I just wrote things down. I listened back to our call. I wrote things down. I took notes. I then sort of tried to come up with like, you know, if I wanted to have a business, not be a business. So I started coming up with my tagline, or, you know, what my offering would be, who would my target audience be, and what I would offer them, to kind of try and crystallize that. That was the first thing I think I really needed to do in order to actually decide, okay, I know this is a viable thing. I know I'm already doing it, but how can I do it and feel comfortable with it? Because in our session, we also talk about all the things that I don't want to be, all the things that I'm not comfortable doing, all the identities that I would never want to adopt. So I basically started brainstorming, you know, using the motivation, using the impetus from our session, started brainstorming. I started then actually the next step was doing research or competitor research on people who are in my field doing similar things, how they're doing it, you know, little bits from there that I think, okay, you know what, I admire that, I would like that, and this is kind of more of who I am. This is not who I am, and kind of just because essentially I'm branding myself, I'm rebranding myself. And so as a brand, what are my brand elements? Who am I speaking to? What is my tone? Who will, you know, benefit the most from what I have to offer? Who am I already working with? All of these things I had to ask myself these questions. So basically I started a question and answer exercise. I'm still in the process. I'm still working on it because of course I still have my day job and I still have clients. Still, you know, I'm still living life. You know, working and traveling, being a nomad, that's, you know, that takes effort and time. For sure. So right now I'm still, I guess, in the infancy of creating this umbrella brand. But I think what's really important is I see where it has legs. I see where this can go.
Right. Yeah, it's a process. And as you said before, it's also detaching from your former business situation and the identity that you attach to, which is logical that you have it, but it's actually letting go. And like, as you said, like mourning the ego almost and renewing yourself as an entrepreneur. Like, what is possible for me? Oh, wait, I see opportunities now that I thought were kind of like, as you said, like dark alleys almost. Like I knew they were there, but now, hey, it starts to click, like things start to fall into place. And wait, I can start thinking bigger about myself and indeed branding myself as this expert. So super glad to see that that this is already changing within you, because it's an internal change in the end. Like so much we can do outside, but it all happens from within. If you don't believe it, that it's possible, if you don't believe there is an alternative, then you will stay stuck, right, in freedom limits or time limits or income limits. So yeah, super fun. Thanks for sharing this, and great to see so many changes already. Where can people find you if you are finally launching? Because tell people in that one sentence, that tagline, what you're going to be doing and where people can find you.
So I've been a travel journalist for many years, and I've written for different publications as a freelance journalist, but I'm transitioning more into actually helping people who maybe we're where I was 5 years ago. So helping people who want to escape the rat race, work online, travel, and be entirely location independent. I'm doing that via my courses, my online courses, via mentoring with discovery sessions on my website, which is also called Discovery Sessions. So I run a digital nomad lifestyle blog, and I mentor people who really who want to live this lifestyle that I'm so fortunate to be living right now, living in Mexico, traveling, you know, working when I want to, waking up when I want to, being my own boss. I basically can give people like a loving hand, much like how you gave me a loving hand to move to the next step in my business. I'm basically assisting people who want to work on this and who want to break free from those chains, which I have not been. I've not worked in an office in over a decade, and I would never think of going back.
Thank you so much for sharing this today and sharing your experience with working with me, and already seeing some cool things going on and really moving into that next phase. And I'm curious to see what else comes out. Thanks. And let's stay in touch.
Yes, absolutely. For sure. Thank you so much, Rachelle. Really, I can't thank you enough. This was so fruitful. This was so useful for me. Anybody needs a business coach, or anybody who wants to run a business, but and not have business run them and not run their lives, I will be sending them your way.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.